Before proceeding in detail, I'm obliged to clarify matters arising from a recent committee session. There, I learnt later to my surprise, I was named by a member as the source of information upon which was based a question for a witness, the representative of the National Council of Canadian Muslims, NCCM. The NCCM representative responded by saying that the question or questions were, quotes, McCarthy-esque, unquotes. Clarification will be important to the committee's truth-seeking function, and the relevance of these comments in national security terms will become readily apparent. And my remarks on this subject are simply my personal opinion on a matter of pressing public interest based on my having followed this group's progress across about 15 years. The NCCM was founded in 2000 as the Canadian Council on American Islamic Relations, CARE-CAN, the Canadian chapter of the Washington, D.C.-based Saudi-funded Council on American Islamic Relations, CAIR, C-A-I-R. This Canadian chapter was founded by Dr. Shima Khan with the assistance of Mr. Faisal Kuti, among others. In 2003, as CARE-CAN founding chair, Dr. Khan swore an affidavit asserting that CARE-CAN was under the direction and control of the U.S. Mother Organization. By about 2004, several significant former U.S. CARE personalities and other associates had been convicted of terrorism-related offenses, CARE's former National Civil Liberties Coordinator among them. For a period during her CARE-CAN chairmanship, Dr. Khan sat on the U.S. CARE Organization's board. According to a 2006 National Post report, CARE-CAN contributed payments to the Washington office from CARE-CAN revenue. In 2007, the U.S. Department of Justice designated the CARE Mother Group.
Mr. Chair, witnesses have been invited here to testify on Bill C51 before us rather than to testify on the background of other witnesses whom we already heard. So I would ask the Chair to remind the witness of the question of relevance to the matter before us.
The Chair would do that, but the Chair would also acknowledge that the witness has an opportunity to respond to previous testimony that has been given relative to either statements he made or did not make. But I would certainly encourage the member to, or the witness to try to stay, as close as possible to Bill C51 with regard to obviously the purpose and intent of the bill, but certainly you have the right to defend either allegations and or improprieties that you deem to be fit that would cast either a negative or a positive light on testimony that has been given at this committee. So carry on, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In 2007, the U.S. Department of Justice designated the CARE Mother Group an unindicted co-conspirator in the successful U.S. Holy Land Foundation terrorist funding prosecution. When CARE challenged the Justice Department designation in U.S. District Court, the court upheld the designation, ruling that, quotes, the government has produced ample evidence excuse me, to establish the associations of CARE with Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist entity under Canadian and U.S. law. The FBI ended outreach dealings with the CARE Mother Organization in 2008, and the relevance of this to outreach and aspects involving counter-radicalization relative to the legislation will become increasingly relevant. In 2013, CARE-CAN, the Canadian chapter, changed its name to the present National Council of Canadian Muslims, NCCM. Some argued that this was an attempt to divert attention from its CARE-US connection. If so, this has been undermined by the NCCM name change statement indicating that NCCM and CARE-CAN remain the same organization despite the name change. The NCCM news release stating this appears to have been removed from the NCCM CARE-CAN website, but I'd be pleased to furnish the committee with a copy. Several high-level NCCM officials and staff from the CARE-CAN days remain in comparable positions in NCCM. Detractors assert that NCCM CARE-CAN has failed to condemn publicly and by name the U.S. Mother Organization for its radical connections and the terror convicts related to that U.S. organization. Some note a possible NCCM CARE-CAN disinclination to reveal financial books and other records likely to explain its involvement with CARE in Washington and other links. Others have expressed concern about the organization's alleged tendency to spread an exaggerated and divisive victimhood narrative at a time when many worry about alienating Muslim youth. NCCM CARE-CAN's civil liberties bona fides have been doubted by some as a result of CARE-CAN's part in the 2000s in what has been claimed to have been a libel lawfare campaign by it and its mother group to silence media questions about them with multiple libel lawsuits. Please see Dr. Daniel Pipe's analysis titled CARE's Growing Litigiousness. It appears that a public relations backlash forced NCCM CareCan and CARE to dismiss their own libel lawsuits and give up on lawfare, at least at that time. As reported in Maclean's, I was one of those commentators and civil liberties defenders who was sued in libel, fought to defend the responsible exercise of Charter Section 2 free expression and journalistic freedom, and forced CareCan NCCM to shut down its own suit without apology or payment. In 2014, NCCM CareCan and the Islamic Social Services Association, ISSA, the latter led by NCCM CareCan board member Shahina Siddiqui, prepared a so-called counter-radicalization handbook, United Against Terrorism. But the RCMP, which had contributed a chapter to this, withdrew its support for the project owing to, quotes, adversarial, unquote, aspects of parts of the text. There were also criticisms of the handbook's selection of recommended Islamic scholars, some of whom were said to be among this continent's most radical. One of several examples, Dr. Jamal Badawi, an Egyptian-born Canadian who has been described as an International Muslim Brotherhood leader, who is a U.S. unindicted co-conspirator and has reportedly advocated physical punishment for wives and polygamy. Badawi spent years as a CareCan-era official. The handbook also recommended Siraj Wahhaj, who appeared on a U.S. government list of 1993 World Trade Center bombing unindicted co-conspirators and reportedly has made extreme statements. Recommendee Imam Ziad Shakir was condemned for his ideology by U.S. moderate leader Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, who has appeared before this committee, and the Anti-Defamation League. Despite the RCMP's withdrawal from the project, I recently heard that the handbook continues to be distributed at home and abroad with the RCMP's name on the cover, a disturbing situation. And so to the present, I trust that this personal view of the record will cast a clarifying light on the NCCM's allegation before this committee that close questioning of the organization amounts to, quotes, McCarthy-esque, unquotes, conduct. Perhaps my analysis might assist the committee and Canadians in general in weighing pertinent testimony. I look forward to questions. Thank you.